Hi everyone. Today in this video, I'm going to discuss what I do as a neuroscientist to take care of my brain. This 3-pound structure sitting in our skulls has always fascinated me. It makes up only 2% of our body weight, but it consumes around whopping 20% of our energy, which tells us of its importance. So in simple words, if your brain isn't healthy, life loses its spark. Why? Because everything we experience, joy, excitement, love, even the ability to dream big and achieve goals, is filtered through this incredible organ. I've always said it, and I'll say it again. A healthy brain is a successful brain. However, the knowledge regarding how to take care of our brains, to keep it healthy, sharp, focused, creative, is really scattered. Sometimes it's really confusing to understand. But also, most of the time, I have come across the information which is not really correct. So therefore, in this video, I'm going to share what I do personally from the science-backed knowledge to personal habits to take care of my brain. It has worked for me to keep me sharp, focused, emotionally well-balanced, with no brain fog, and most importantly, in a good mood. The purpose of sharing this is to explain as simple as possible how we can take care of our brain by giving examples of myself, and so the people can take benefit from this health guide. But before diving into the discussion, first let me introduce myself to the people who are watching me for the first time. I'm Dr. Zulkifil, and I have a PhD in experimental medicine, where my focus was on neural stem cells and generating 3D human brain models, which are called neural organoids, in the laboratory. I have a bachelor's degree in pharmacy, and before diving into the research, I have worked at global pharmaceutical leaders like Pfizer and also at a university as a lecturer. Purpose of this channel is to help people who are continuously bombarded with the information about the brain, which is not always authentic and correct. I felt the need that it is really important for the people in science to come forward and share information which is authentic, well researched, so the people can actually take benefit from it. So I would really appreciate if you like, subscribe, and share. Also, I would really love if you write your thoughts in the comments. All this will help me reach more audience to whom this content might be useful. Before wasting any further time, let's dive in. So in this video, I will discuss 7 points. And in these 7 points, I will discuss my life examples supported by why I'm doing that activity. So first things first, the most important is the physical activity. I do a regular exercise 4 times a week. This includes a combination of jogging and calisthenics for around 1 hour. I do jogging for around 25 minutes, where I roughly cover 5 kilometers 2 days of the week. I couple 25 minutes of jogging with around 40 minutes of calisthenics. And 2 days of the week, I do 10 minutes of the treadmill, 10 minutes of the bicycling, and then 30 to 40 minutes of the calisthenics, in which I do various exercises, push-ups, pull-ups, squats, etc. But it is not always necessary for everyone to do this. I'm doing this from last 2 years. So I began with very less, and over time I slowly increased it. Same things you can do. The physical activity has really helped me. I feel more energized, fresh. My memory has improved. Also, my mood has dramatically changed, and therefore I feel happy and positive. The reason behind how exercise promotes brain health and reduce cognitive decline could be due to various factors, but let's discuss few of them. So, first thing exercise do, it increases the blood flow to the brain, thus increasing the nutrient supply and oxygen, which are vital for the brain's high metabolic needs and optimal functioning. Second, memory enhancement. In many studies, exercise has been shown to increase brain-derived neurotrophic factor in the brain, which we call BDNF. It is a protein and promotes growth of new neurons and synapses. Though in the adult human brains, the growth of new neurons is still a debate and it's under investigation, but higher BDNF levels promote better memory formation and functioning, and thus as a result helps improve our memory. This could help us in remembering better, learning quicker, though studies suggest that these effects become visible after 6 months of doing physical activity, and I can agree with that because I'm doing this physical activity from last 2 years, and I can see very clear changes in my memory functioning. So as sometimes you listen, that strength of the mind is exercise. So it has been found that the physical activity reduces the stress hormones in the body. For example, cortisol and adrenaline. These are the hormones which are released in our body in response to stress or flight and fight responses. So the exercise helps lower these stress hormones. So in the beginning, the exercise increases a little bit the cortisol, but in the longer term, if you continue for a long time, the regular physical activity leads to a long-term decrease in overall cortisol levels. And this helps the body manage the stress more effectively. Another thing physical activity does, it releases the endorphins. The brain releases endorphins, which are peptides and are natural painkillers. They block the perception of pain, increase the feelings of well-being. So these neurochemical responses not only enhance the feelings of well-being, but also counteracts stress, thus providing a sense of relaxation. The regular exercise also contributes to better sleep, which is crucial for managing stress. And improved sleep, which I will discuss in the next section, helps the body recover from daily stressors and enhance emotional resilience. Regular exercise has been linked to increases in the volume of the brain regions associated with thinking and memory, such as hippocampus. And studies have already shown that individuals who engage in consistent physical activity have larger volumes in these critical areas compared to sedentary individuals. So anxiety and stress are also the contributors to the cognitive impairment. Therefore, by maintaining the positive mental state through exercise can lead to better overall brain health. Does exercise helps in the depression? Two studies, one published in 2023 and one in 2024. First, the one published in 2023 by the researchers at University of South Australia conducted a very extensive study in which they analyzed 97 other research studies comprising of 128,000 participants, and they concluded that the physical activity is 1.5 times more effective than counseling or medications for managing depression. And this study highlighted that the short-term exercise interventions, 12 weeks or even lesser, were particularly effective in alleviating symptoms of depression and anxiety across various populations, including pregnant women. Another study in 2024, published in British Journal of Sports Medicine, they reviewed 218 studies involving around 14,000 participants, concluded that exercises such as walking, jogging, yoga, and strength training significantly reduced depression symptoms compared to the usual care. Please bear with me because it is very important to also know when you are doing something that how it's going to benefit you. Now here is the important thing. In the beginning, it will be not very easy. Same was for me. You will want to stop doing it. It will be hard to take out time. You will be tired and so on. But believe me, just start by doing 10 to 20 minutes physical activity or as much as you can do. And once you start doing it for some time, it will become like an addiction. When you will start seeing changes in your body shape, as the waistline will shrink and your strength and stamina will increase. It will also increase your self-image. This will be something which you will do only for yourself. Now let's go to another important thing, the sleep. I do exercise usually in the evening. So when I come back to my home, I take a shower. If it's summer, I take cold shower. If it's winter, I take warm shower. While taking shower, I try to focus on my breathing again. To relax further, I take some deep breaths, hold the breath for some times, and then exhale. This helps me relax further. After the shower, I have a light dinner. Now for a moment, let's skip the activities between the dinner to the sleep and go straight into the sleep. 2 years ago, so before starting physical activity, I had a serious problem with my sleep. While I was doing my PhD, it was a really stressful phase. And to be very honest, I was also worrying a bit too much, which now I realize I shouldn't have done to that extent. I will explain in the end why. So the experiments were not always working, there was uncertainty, which still is, but I have developed my mechanisms to cope with that, some of which I will explain in the relevant section. So I was bringing those worries with me to my home. The sleep quality was really bad. Sometimes I couldn't sleep for hours. And even when I fell asleep, in the morning when I would wake up, I felt so tired, like I was dancing the whole night. So I did few changes. So I started exercising, as I discussed before, which helped a lot in relieving my stress and anxiety. Another thing I did, I started having light dinner. So I noticed that when I was anxious and stressful, I was also eating a lot. And the third thing I did, I reduced my caffeine consumption and stopped having caffeine at least 6 hours before bedtime. But also during the day, I started skipping the caffeine breaks. I'm still working on the habit to not use my phone before the sleep. But one thing I always do before falling asleep, I once again try to take some deep breaths. And while my eyes are closed, I start focusing on the current moment, focusing on my breathing, laying on the bed, and imagining all thoughts of my day flying by and going out through the window. I'm still working on a fixed schedule, but honestly, sometimes I sleep 6 hours, mostly 7 to 8 hours. But collective of all this has really helped me improve my sleep. That tiredness, bad mood, starting from the morning is no more there. And I feel energized the whole day. Now let's discuss why sleep is important for the brain. Sleep plays a crucial role in our brain's health. During sleep, our brain consolidates memories acquired during wakefulness. The metabolites and the toxins which have accumulated in our brain during the waking hours due to the metabolism, like for example, beta amyloid, which is also responsible for Alzheimer's, are cleared. Sleep also enhances neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to adapt and reorganize itself by forming new neural connections. I will dive deep into the mechanisms in a separate video, but here I would like to mention two very important and recent studies. So in one study involving around 30,000 of the participants from the UK Biobank found that both short, less than 6 hours, and long, more than 9 hours, sleep durations are associated with lower brain volume. Specifically, those sleeping less than 6 hours showed reduced gray matter, which is part of the brain composed of the cell bodies of the neurons and the hippocampal volume, which are critical for memory and cognitive functions. Another study published in Neurology indicates that poor sleep quality in the early middle age is linked to accelerated brain aging. Participants who reported sleep issues such as difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep exhibited signs of cognitive decline later in the life. And this study also demonstrated that those with more severe sleep problems had an average brain age significantly older than their actual age, emphasizing the long-term impact of sleep quality on cognitive health. Now let's move to the next important section we all like, the food. So the diet plays extremely important role in our brain's health. 2 years ago, I was struggling with anxiety, stress. I was having a brain fog, having difficulty in focusing, forgetfulness and low energy. And I was not really understanding what's going wrong. And so these problems are interrelated. If you have anxiety and stress, you won't be able to focus. Or if you can't focus or remember, you will be feeling again anxious. So it's like a vicious cycle. Given my background in the same field, I said, wait a minute, there is something wrong. I started to have a look at my life. What is it that I'm doing wrong? I started reading a lot. I collected some information and started to make changes in my life, some of which I have already discussed, like the exercise, breathing exercises. When I looked at my food choices, one graph stood really tall, the processed sugars. I was consuming a lot. I was always drinking soft drinks, energy drinks, having ice creams, sweetened coffee and tea, jellies, by the way, which were always in my backpack and right beside my bed, and other lots of sweets. I studied a lot of research published in very reputed journals, which opened my eyes about how processed sugars were damaging my brain. So first step I reduced processed sugars consumption and then gradually almost completely stopped it. In the beginning, it's a bit challenging, but not extremely hard and impossible if done in a correct way. So some really interesting studies found that the processed sugars have this wonderful addiction mechanism, and they activate the reward and pleasure system of our brain very similar way as cocaine. Therefore, it's better to reduce it gradually. After stopping processed sugar intake, I started noticing very significant positive changes overall in my body and most importantly in my brain. My brain fog started to go away. My mood started to improve. The problem of low energy started to get better. And overall, I felt positive improvements in my memory functioning. Now, why I'm focusing so much on the processed sugars? Though I have discussed every mechanism in absolute detail in another video, how processed sugars are damaging our brain, I suggest you must watch it. But let me tell you some of the effects of processed sugars on our brain. So the recent research shows that processed sugars cause neuroinflammation in our brain. by generating pro-inflammatory cytokines. These are the proteins which initiate and promote inflammation and oxidative stress. There are some other mechanisms, but these two are the prominent ones. Now, this neuroinflammation causes many problems in our brain, including low focus, brain fog, low decision-making ability, memory problems, etc. So now that I stopped taking processed sugars, sometimes I needed to satisfy my sweet tooth. So I found out while reading that processed sugar had never been a part of human diet during our evolution. Humans relied on natural sweeteners like honey, fruits, and sweet plants. Therefore, I started incorporating more fruits and honey in my diet. So for example, when I wake up in the morning before taking coffee, so I take 1 cup of the milk, 1 banana, I put some peanut butter, some dates, walnuts, almonds, pistachio, and honey. I blend them all with the help of a blender, and a semi-solid smoothie is formed, which besides very tasty, is also very energetic. It gives me an energetic start of the day. But since it has also lots of fibers, I don't get glucose spikes. Now it's not necessary to put all these dry fruits. You can put what you want according to your taste, except the processed sugars in the morning. You can incorporate some fruits, some boiled eggs. So for the lunch and dinner, I don't prefer processed fast foods either, because they do very similar damage as the processed sugars. And there are many well-established studies proving it. I try to cook my own food, in which I incorporate red meat, chicken, beef liver, and fiber-packed vegetables like zucchini, spinach, etc. I don't drink and smoke, and I think there is a lot of information already available to the general public about what kind of damage they can do. So another important thing I do, I incorporate multivitamins in my diet. Currently, the one I'm taking is this one. I was losing some hairs as well, so I wanted some other ingredients, and I am observing really good changes in my hairs and my skin. Now coming to the section 4, the social life. Social life is crucial for our brain's health. You always keep hearing that humans are social animals. I stay connected with my family, taking a time out to always talk to my mom and my dad, my siblings on daily basis. I also stay connected with my friends who are far through social media like WhatsApp or Instagram, and who are close by through occasional meetings and get-togethers. Just sometimes having a coffee together, sometimes having a lunch together, just talking, sometimes going to shopping. So you have someone to talk to, because loneliness is one of the biggest causes of anxiety and depression. This I have also observed myself in the laboratory, where people would induce depression and anxiety in the mice to test the drugs. So what they would do, sometimes they would take them out of the housing which these mice were sharing with other mice, and they would put them alone in another housing. The mice, after a few weeks, would start developing symptoms of stress, anxiety, and depression. Therefore, the loneliness is never recommended. Try to stay connected with your family and with your friends if you are far away from them through social media like WhatsApp or some other apps, because there are numerous well-established studies supporting the positive effects of social interactions on the memory, cognitive functions, stress reduction, neuroplasticity enhancement, and overall brain health and well-being. Fifth is stay mentally active. In my line of work, I have to read a lot, plan a lot, think a lot. So my suggestion for you too is that use your brain, otherwise you will lose it. Keep your brain engaged in tasks which need some mental challenge, be it a game, reading a book, writing something. One exercise which can help you a lot is just writing for 5 minutes about experiences of your day. And believe me, this will do wonders for you. Now coming to one of my favorite sections. Do what makes you happy. Shopping makes me happy. I like buying new shoes, buying shirts, pants, garments, but I also try to not overdo it. I try to keep a balance, because over expenditures can also put you in a bad financial situation, which can again trigger anxiety. So no matter how small or insignificant something is, keep gifting yourself, keep appreciating yourself. Trying and buying new perfumes makes me really happy. I have quite a collection now, and there are also some more. And I have now a little bit understanding of the perfumes. I can give some suggestions about my favorite ones for the men and for the women if asked in the comment section. Gifting yourself is a good idea. It does not need to be very expensive, because when you will start loving and appreciating yourself, your self-image will improve, your confidence will improve, and overall this will lead to the better functioning of the brain. And in the last few years, the researchers have started to recognize that our sense of smell is one of the most important senses for our well-being. Because unlike other senses, the sense of smell It bypasses the relaying centers. It directly reaches to our memory and emotion centers. So I would also suggest start using some fragrances, perfumes. They will boost up your confidence, your self-esteem. I have discussed these things in other videos. Last but not least, my approach to life. So in the past, I have wasted so much of my energy and time in people pleasing, impressing others, caring too much about the things, procrastinating too much, which never really mattered. Now I have set my priorities, what matters the most to me. For example, my family comes first, then comes my passions, then comes helping others. Everything else is a background noise. Most of the time, we start comparing our real life to someone else's reel on Instagram. And this comparison is damaging. What we see on a social media is not a reality. No one would like to take the picture in the real moment. Everyone you would see would be smiling. So don't compare your real life to someone else's highlighted reels. Furthermore, the things I used to worry about never really matter to me after a few years. Believe me, worrying too much about the things, like just take an example of the job. I give my 100%. And then I don't worry if someone is still going to fire me. Life will not end with that. There is much more to the life. There will be many more solutions and opportunities. Because sometimes your true potential never comes out until you face a problem. I would give a very quick example of one of my friends who after got married faced some financial problems. Though he was still working, he was telling me every day that maybe he is thinking to drive a taxi or an Uber as a part-time or do tuitioning to earn some extra bucks, which will help them sustain his family. Eventually, he found his role in freelancing, and then things only got better. How I deal with toxicity in my life. If someone gives a bad or wrong comment about you, this is not going to change your life. So why should you bother? Another important thing is be kind, because this is what makes us human. And then be thankful. I'm thankful for my life and for what I have. I don't compare my life to others in any way. This is your life. Start appreciating what you have. And once you will have these positive thoughts, you will see that your brain will do wonders for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it will help you in some sense. Please write your opinions in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Thank you.